everyone. My name is Gregory, and this is The View from Out Here. The No Kings protest on the 14th was in part about the ICE raids in cities and rural areas throughout the United States. Los Angeles was the epicenter of the ICE raids controversy this time, but the raids were happening in Chicago and New York, among other places as well. I spoke about this earlier, but on review, I don't think that I was being clear enough about why otherwise innocent immigrants were being taken into custody. The president's promise to his voters was to arrest and deport gang members, murderers, human traffickers, rapists, drug dealers, etc. Nobody's objecting to that. Criminals should be arrested, and if they are undocumented, they should be deported. That's how it's supposed to work. For the last 10 years, Donald Trump has been telling us that other countries are emptying their prisons and mental institutions into the United States through our southern border. He told us that Haitian immigrants are eating the dogs. He told us that Venezuelan gang members are taking over our cities. He magically transformed otherwise peaceful, law-abiding, tax-paying people from other countries into threatening demons out to rape your children, flood your streets with fentanyl, and make you a frightened prisoner in your own home. He was carefully wording that message to give the impression that millions of such frightening threats to human decency are wandering rabidly in our streets, waiting for an opportunity to prey upon you and your family. The problem is that he made it all up. For example, his story about Haitians eating the dogs was based on one incident that ended up not being true. The complaint came from a woman in Springfield, Ohio, who called police because she believed that a Haitian immigrant living nearby had stolen her dog and served it up for dinner. We later learned that the dog was just lost and has since been returned. But that didn't stop Donald Trump. He kept telling that lie all the way through the Harris-Trump debate. It became an iconic meme that everyone has seen by now. Take a
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
His story about Venezuelan gangs taking over cities. That comes from a story in Aurora, Colorado, where actual Venezuelan gang members were selling drugs from one apartment in a complex and creating a threatening environment for the other residents of the apartments. The police had since moved in and arrested the criminals. That's how law enforcement is supposed to work. But it was being presented by Donald Trump to the public as an epidemic of violence and criminal activity everywhere. The fact is that crime rates were in decline almost everywhere in the United States at the time. In fact, criminal rates right now are still declining. Violent crime today is less than it was when Donald Trump was in his first failed presidency. This is all part of a technique employed by MAGA publicans where they take an anecdotal incident that is true, that actually happened, and blow it out of proportion into a national scourge that threatens your life every day. And that Donald Trump is the only one who can save you from it. They present a small truth to try to lend credence to a much bigger lie. In this case, the bigger lie is that everyone, or even most people crossing our southern border without documentation, is a criminal and a mortal threat to you personally. And another big lie is that Donald Trump is the only one who can save you from it. Now, don't let me leave you with the impression that there are no criminals who entered the United States at the southern border. Of course there are. There are dangerous criminals operating in the United States who came here without documentation. But it's the amount of brown people who fit that description that is the much bigger lie that I'm talking about. In the real world, the percentage of people coming into the United States who are criminals is a fraction of the total. In fact, the amount of criminal activity among undocumented immigrants is statistically less than the criminal behavior among American citizens who were born here. That's a fact. It's the same in any society, regardless of immigration status. Some people are going to be criminals, but the overwhelming majority are decent law-abiding citizens that just want to be left to live their lives in peace and with a reasonable amount of safety. That's the same equation for undocumented immigrants coming across our southern border. The overwhelming majority of them are productive, well-meaning folks who just want to be left to live their lives in peace and safety, and they are willing to pay taxes despite not being allowed to reap any of the benefits that come from those taxes. Things like EBT, food stamps, Medicaid, medical insurance, Social Security, and the like. And they are willing to obey all the same laws that everyone else here is expected to obey. These are the people that the American people want in their communities, and it's partly why we were protesting on June 14th. ICE is taking those people away from us. So this presents a big problem for Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. They're in power now, and they are under pressure to deliver on their promise to eradicate these millions and millions of brown criminals flooding across the southern border. The problem is they don't exist. They made it all up. So to cover up the lies they told us for the last decade, they have to arrest and deport 1 million brown people this year, and they're not going to make it. They haven't even arrested and deported 100,000 brown criminals yet, and it's already June. Who they are arresting and deporting are otherwise law-abiding immigrants who have to go to court in an attempt to try to get their citizenship status squared away. ICE is hanging out at those courthouses across the country to prevent brown people from obeying the law so that they can be deported before they can get their status cleared up. What they are doing is snatching brown people from their job sites, from Home Depot parking lots, from construction sites, from crop fields, snatching people off the streets regardless of their citizenship status if they should be so bold as to attend a protest against this kind of madness, or write an essay that MAGA Republicans don't fancy. So now we have little kids who are legal citizens coming home from school to an empty house because their parents have been deported. Now we have mothers waiting up all night for husbands who will not be coming home because they're on a plane to a brutal prison in El Salvador. Who they are arresting and deporting are otherwise law-abiding people who they magically transformed into criminals with the stroke of a pen by revoking their student visas and using that as an excuse to deport them. And all of it without due process. I talked about this over a year ago when I first started The View from Out Here. You'll find it on my channel. It's called Otherwise Law Abiding. I'll try to link it at the end of this post and then the description below. It was an essay that I wrote back in 2007 when the United States was already refusing to deal with the problem of undocumented immigration. I said then that every day an undocumented immigrant remains in the United States, they are committing an ongoing crime. And that is technically true. But I also said that we have everything that we need to solve the problem of undocumented immigration except the political will to just do it. We have everything we need at our disposal right now. All we have to do is provide funding for immigration judges and lawyers so that we can follow the law and provide due process for these otherwise law-abiding people whose only crime is seeking a better life for themselves and their families. That process will prevent those criminals that Donald Trump is so afraid of from even getting past immigration to begin with. And we don't have to deport people who are trying to obey the law. The only reason this unusual cruelty is happening is because that level of cruelty gives Stephen Miller and Donald Trump a frickin' boner. The longer we kick this can down the road, the bigger this problem is going to get. And we've been kicking this can down the road for a long time now. This problem is of our own making. I said it back in 2007. I said it again in 2024, and I'll say it again, this time louder for the people in the back. If we cannot abide by the laws we have, we should change them until we can. This isn't rocket science. Any mathematician worth their paycheck could solve this equation in their sleep, for crying out loud. I want to thank you for hanging with me so far, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to help this channel continue. And be sure to check out the description below for more cool stuff that I have for you, like the 3 books that I wrote for you that are absolutely worthy of your attention, I promise. And if you have Kindle Plus, guess what? You can read all of them for free. Meanwhile, my name is Gregory, and this has been The View from Out Here. Much love.